Looks good. He's got good light on his face.
See?
Because he's got the...
I don't know if you know this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
You got your radio started.
I just do it. It just happens. It's like magic.
You can't control it.
I don't.
I know.
I just go with it.
What's your favorite country?
China. China, of course.
China.
That's my favorite thing that he says. China.
I was trying to think of something funny.
What was that? Did we get communication? Hello? Hello?
Do you live nearby?
We just
I
heard
live in Valencia.
something.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
I
Perfect.
grew up in Southwest Side. I grew up in Venice, and then moved out there, and I've been kind of back and forth between Brentwood, Santa Monica.
Yeah.
Would you mind taking your jacket off? Because it's
I barely know you.
it's just your jacket. Because it's kind of crinkling a little bit or something on on the
This is
video.
why we shouldn't
Really? Well,
using the
I'd
green
rather leave
screens.
it on.
I
it's
do
fine.
like my jacket. I don't like all white.
I
Seriously.
hear that.
But if you want me to like, pull it down in the back or something like that.
Yeah, let's try. Yeah, let's try that. Yeah.
Because that's usually what happens. I think it comes up near the collar usually. Seen
That
that?
blue is nice on you.
I
Is that better?
I think you look great, but what do I know?
I think they're having a problem with the green screen, which I don't think they should have used green screens.
Well, yeah. Usually the jacket itself, like some of my guys that I have working in my office, I see them sitting down. It like hunches up in the back. You're over your computer. You know?
Yeah.
So you just
Yep.
gotta like put it down.
The old TV anchorman trick is you pull it down and you pull it to even
There is
sit
enough light
on it.
for you,
I'm
Greg.
doing
There is?
exactly.
Okay,
I'm
great.
doing exactly.
It's
Great.
uniform now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super. Yeah, it's an old trick. That you just kind of sit on it. You pull it and sit, and that way it keeps that
Keeps it
collar
down.
from coming up.
Yes.
You
Because it
know?
does
Yeah,
pop
that's what I was
up.
saying. That's
Yeah.
how my plays. I see them do that.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
crazy.
smile, because we got you. We got to put this for social media. All right, Grant, in the dark.
Right in the dark.
Okay. Me.
Jeez. Oh.
Hey.
You guys could do it. I could do it too.
Why not?
Okay. Wait a second. I'm looking at me. How did that happen? Smile. Jeez.
Jeez.
Okay. Get over here, Grant.
Take that love.
It proves that I was here.
That's
right.
That's right.
And we'll take pictures together, too. That way you'll really have proof. For sure.
Wow.
Please.
Really
You came in
smooth.
the snow.
I did. Barefoot.
Uphill. Both ways. Welcome to the 16th Annual Wealth Summit right here on AM 870 The Answer. I'm Jennifer Horn.
And I'm Grant Stinchfield.
And we're from the Morning Answer, heard weekdays here on the station from 6 to 9 a.m. We welcome you. This program is for you. If you are trying to get started in investment, if you are close to retirement, the next 2 hours is going to be for everyone. And Grant, I'm excited. We're going to have all different walks of wealth management in this room tonight.
We're going to make you all rich.
Yeah.
And at the very least, we're going to help you preserve what you got.
That's it. And boy,
Maybe
it's
a little
tough.
both.
It's tough right now. It's a little chaotic. Don't know if any of you have noticed that. A little chaotic the last couple of years when it comes to your finances, the markets. But we are here to help you get ready, to help your family really get those investments. And a couple of things. We are live video streaming this Wealth Summit. You can go to am870theanswer.com to watch the video feed of tonight's event. And if you have questions, you can tweet them to us. Use Twitter at am870theanswer.
I should pull up our Twitter feed, shouldn't I? So
Yeah.
I could just look at those as they come through.
Because, this is a interesting operation. And so,
Right.
yes, you are in charge of social media.
Okay,
How about that?
deal. Got it.
All right. But first up on our 16th Annual Wealth Summit, it is my pleasure to welcome to you Lindahl Lucas, CEO and founder of Da Vinci Wealth Management. Lindahl, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Jennifer. I appreciate it. Grant, I want to say happy birthday to your brother.
Thank you, buddy.
I heard there's a rumor.
54 years old.
Oh, my God.
That's pretty good. You look great.
I wouldn't want to be any other place. It's the Wealth Summit on my birthday.
And that's
baby.
why we're going to talk about your retirement, because you're getting closer, Hal.
Well, that's why they sent me over here, really.
Right.
Exactly. Now, Lindahl, you work with a large group of people.
I do.
And what's the best way that someone who is a retiree can increase their income when they're already in retirement? This seems to be kind of the sticky situation that a lot of people get into. Things are more expensive, but they don't have that additional income.
The interesting thing and the crazy thing, I mean, obviously with inflation being what it is and the way the market has been going, the best way to increase your income is by reducing your taxes. Taxes are the largest expense in retirement.
I like how that sounds.
Yeah, so it's like, so when you really start looking at it, you have to just remember the issues with taxes themselves. If you can be proactive in your approach to your portfolio with taxes, I always say that you should be proactive with it, and then in February, take it like right now, it's February, right? Most people get their W-2s, they're looking at their W-2s, they gather all their stuff, they go to their CPA, they drop their stuff off. Hey, Bob, am I going to owe anything? Or, hey, do I get money back? You don't know.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people should do, most people should do, is figure out, I always like to say, do a fourth quarter mock tax return. Mm-hmm. Figure out what your year-to-date is. Figure out where your income's at with you, your spouse, or if you're a solo, whatever it may be. Figure out where it is. Figure out what federal tax rate you're at. And it might be a time that you could pick your winners or losers. If you have stocks you don't like that might not be performing, sell them. Take the loss, write it off on your taxes. If it can drop you from 32% down to 24%, I'm all for that.
How does that work when you take the loss on stock? You have to be very calculated about what you're doing, though, right? When you're selling those stocks off, taking the loss so you can offset capital gains later, correct?
Exactly. I mean, and it's a process, and you do have to be very accurate with what you're doing. But if you do have a stock that's not performing well, sell it. If you need the write-off, right? Mm-hmm. Sell it, take the loss, minus it off, take it off your taxes.
Yeah, it's amazing because when you do that, you look, the S&P's down, 10, 15%. You take those losses, all of a sudden your loss isn't 15% anymore. Your loss is only maybe 8% or 7% when you
Yeah. No, you're right with that. Most people assume that they will retire, go to maybe even a lower tax bracket, but I see all the time with people that are middle class, middle upper class, couples, and even individuals. They retire and they're in the same tax bracket or even higher, and this can have a devastating impact on your retirement plan itself, but it can also potentially double or even triple your Medicare premiums. Mm-hmm. So those are things to be aware of. As an investment advisor, we look at everything with my firm. I teach courses at UCLA, Pepperdine, stuff like that. These classes, and a lot of these people that are pre-retirees and retirees, they don't necessarily have the guidance or the direction for their retirement. So I see that a lot. So I like to educate the public and just kind of let them know where it's at.
What's this term, tax diversification?
Oh, it's just using tools in the toolbox for tax diversification. There's a lot of things out there.
It sounds fancy, though.
It does. It makes my job a little bit easier because he seems to know what he's talking about, right? But tax diversification is just finding things that are going to work for you the best way to help lower the amount of taxes that you're going to be paying in retirement. I mean, simple, right?
And your firm does that for these people.
We do that absolutely. Yeah. In fact, taxes. I hate taxes. I don't believe necessarily that my clients should pay they should pay the least amount of taxes as possible. That's one of our goals at our firm, at Da Vinci Wealth Management. It's, like I said, taxes are the largest expense in retirement, so we want to make sure that they're paying the least possible so they have the most that they can actually spend in retirement.
You know, I've heard a line that has been said over and over again to me, and it really is great. Tax evasion is illegal. Tax avoidance is patriotic.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I love the idea of doing this mock-up, though, first, before you actually go to the tax man, just to see where you can make those changes and save yourself. That's a great tip.
And it's a simple tip.
Yeah. I love that. All right, so we're talking, this is, by the way, the 16th annual, if you can believe it, Wealth Summit. I'm Jennifer Horn. Grant Stinchfield is here. We're from The Morning Answer, heard here weekdays, 6 to 9 a.m. on AM 870. And for those of us who are lucky enough to have a retirement plan, Lindahl Lucas is here with us. He's the CEO and founder of Da Vinci Wealth Management. Want to give you their phone number in case you'd like to touch base, 310-994-1596. That's 310-994-1596. But if you're lucky enough to have a retirement plan, most people either have their money in an IRA or they have a 401k. So do you have particular advice for those people? Maybe some of those people who might have an old IRA and now have a 401k with the new job that they're in.
Yeah, you know what? I always tell people if you're going to a new job, usually the retirement plan that you had at the old job doesn't care about you. So you need to move that money. Too many people actually will leave the money there, not even pay attention to it, and they say, what's going on with it? Heck, I don't know. But once you leave that company, they don't care about you. I'm not trying to be mean, but
right.
So move it somewhere. You
Half
should
of them
have
don't care about
advisor.
you while you're there. Thank God Salem Radio.
That's true.
does.
That's right.
But there's
Salem is amazing, right?
A lot of
Yeah.
companies, the loyalty's gone.
Exactly.
And so imagine you leave,
Yeah.
you better believe the loyalty's gone.
Oh, absolutely. That's what that's what kind of the thing that I think about that. But when you go to a new company, they might have another retirement plan. Just start up that plan. I think retirement plans, IRAs, 401ks, are one of the best ways to grow your money. You have compound growth, compound interest, and the money it grows tax diversified, right? It just keeps going and going and going. But there are some things with it that, that people don't think about when they get into the retirement. But, most investors are aware that they need to diversify their investments, but they're not aware of some tax diversification. Normally there are 3 different buckets when we talk about like assets and money and with taxes, but there's tax now, which is pretty much our paycheck, right? We're working, we're making money, we're getting taxed on our money. Second bucket would be tax deferred. So just like the 401ks and the IRAs that I was just talking about, right? So that money's growing, compound growth, compound interest to be taxed later, right? And then never taxed, most people have probably heard about a Roth IRA. And I love a Roth IRA. I'm going to explain that to you guys just a little bit. But, the tax later bucket is, like I said, for the pensions and everything else like that. But here's the problem. Most people, they have their entire nest egg in a maybe taxed later bucket, so their IRA or 401k. And this pretty much means that your retirement could depend on Uncle Sam and what they decide to do with your future, which just means, I think, what is it, about 40% of everything that you have in that qualified account is going to Uncle Sam. Yeah. And, and you have to understand, how that's working. So one of the things that I like to do is talk to my clients, especially right now. This is one of the lowest tax rates in history, right? Our taxes are actually low. And right now, is if you have money in, as say, a qualified account, you're getting ready for retirement, you're 59 and a half or over, it could be a good time for you to move some of that money. You can move it over into a Roth IRA, pay the taxes today, and there's a process to do it. You don't have to do the whole thing. You can do it in segments, right? And if you do it beneath, I always like to do it 22 or 24% right now. I don't like it going up to 32% because who wants to pay that in taxes, right? So if you do it between 22, 24%, just stay underneath that threshold, then you just move that money over. You paid the smaller amount of tax today, right? So hopefully in the future, right, everything you pull out of that account will be tax-free. And, and I was asked the question is, do you think taxes will be higher in the future or are they higher today?
Yeah.
Let me
Right?
tell you, I'm no financial planner, but
Yeah.
I will tell you, Lindahl, we used to say no duh in grade school, right?
I think we went to the same school.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think those taxes, we can count on them being higher.
Oh, exactly. And
Yeah.
so that's the thing. So it's just, as I said before, it's a tool in the toolbox, and we use specific vehicles that are going to make the retirement successful. And that's really, really important.
So, a lot of people talk about trying to live off income, not savings, right? Now, the old saying is you can't take it with you, but I'd sure like my father to give it to me rather than spend it all before he passes. So, but why is income better, and do dividends play a role in all of this when you're looking at someone's investment strategy and finding a good dividend stock?
You know what? The interesting point of what you just said, it depends on the philosophy that somebody's going to be using in retirement. Some people believe that having your investments in the stock market and just living off the dividends could be great. Some people do. But honestly, it works really, really well when the market's great. When the market's not good, it's not working that well, right? And then you start thinking about it. Then if all your money's in the market, you're trying to live off of dividend stocks. What if the dividend stocks stop paying dividends, values go down? You say, oh my God, I'm looking for different dividend stocks. I had a client with the same issue. He had come to me because, he was in the market getting dividends. Next thing you know, the stocks weren't that good. So he tried to, he tried to find other stocks to replace the ones that were underperforming. And he ended up losing even more money. Oof. So the problem really becomes one of the things that I'll be talking about today is just the king in retirement is income. I always say income, and income are the best thing to have in retirement. How do you set it up? Well, there are a lot of vehicles. There are a lot of tools. Like I said, tools in the toolbox. But some of the best things out there, especially today during a down market and where the market's at right now, it gets a little scary. So if you are dependent upon the stock market for your income, especially today, you could actually go broke, in retirement.
It's a pretty frightening thing for sure.
If you want help, I just want to say DaVinciWealthManagement.com, DaVinciWealthManagement.com. And you can help these folks out with exactly what you're talking about here. And I urge people to go to that website
Absolutely.
and check them out.
I don't know if you know this, but we have a free book on the website.
That's what I was going to ask you about.
Were you
because
gonna say that?
Yeah, I was going
I
to
like
ask
that.
you. This is 10 Steps to a Successful Retirement.
Yes.
And this book is free for people who call in, right?
Well, actually, you can go to the website.
Okay.
Just put in your name and your email address. We'll shoot it right over to you.
I love that. And what will we learn? The 10 successful tips, how to have that retirement?
Well, there'll be 10 great steps to figure out a successful retirement. But let me tell you, every successful retirement usually has a good coach. We all played sports. We all understand how that works, right? If you had a great team that was doing phenomenal, whatever it was, you had a good coach behind them. So, sometimes to do it by yourself, it might not be simple, but when you have somebody helping you, either on your CPA, your tax attorney, your investment advisor, it's good to have a great team.
30 seconds left with you, and I know you're going to be back in the second hour. We have so much more to talk about. But at what age do you need to be planning for your retirement? Because
18.
I know, but everybody that people are becoming adults much later in life now.
Yeah.
You've still got 20-year-olds, 29-year-olds who are still living at home. What's the drop? I hate to say drop dead, but what age is the you better get going age?
You know what? It's scary because I've seen 50-year-olds with nothing come into my office saying, "Hey, I want a retirement plan, but I have nothing." You know what? There are some things out there they can do. There really are. But you have to overfund it. You have to throw lots of money at it. So if you haven't set up a plan, you can make a plan, but you're going to have a lot more money.
Do you try to figure out how much money they will need in retirement and then what you need to do to get them there?
Oh, I love that you said that. Yeah, because that's exactly what I do. Not just that. I make sure I set up a plan that covers, to make sure that I have enough guaranteed income to cover their guaranteed expenses. And then whatever money's left over, we put into the stock market and we manage it. So then that way you're not dependent upon the stock market for your income.
I love this. We're going to talk to you in the second hour, and there's so much more fantastic fantastic. Lindahl Lucas, CEO and founder of Da Vinci Wealth Management. Get that book right now, 10 Steps to a Successful Retirement. Just go to www.davinciwealthmanagement.com. That's davinciwealthmanagement.com or 310-994-1596. 310-994-1596. Lindahl Lucas, thank you so much. We'll talk to you in the next hour. This is the Live Wealth Summit on AM 870. Jennifer Horn here, along with Grant Stinchfield from The Morning Answer, joined this year by Da Vinci Wealth Management, Bitcoin Advisors, and Midas Gold Group. When we continue, Chris Mitchell of Bitcoin Advisors. Welcome back to the AM 870 Wealth Summit, our 16th annual event. So happy to be here. I'm Jennifer Horn.
And I'm Grant
And we
Stinchfield.
host the Morning Answer 6 to 9 a.m. each and every weekday here on AM 870 and AM 590 The Answer. We are talking about all kinds of ways to gather wealth and plan for your retirement. We want you to watch. Join us. We're video streaming this event, am870theanswer.com. And, of course, you can always tweet us your questions as well at AM870 on Twitter. Joining us right now, our Wealth Summit continues. We're joined by Chris Mitchell, CEO and founder of Bitcoin Advisors. And Chris, I have to ask you this because I'm going to just fully acknowledge that Bitcoin confuses the heck out of me. I don't know what it is. I want to know. I think there's an opportunity to make money here. We need to know. So what is Bitcoin for people who are confused?
That's a great question. A lot of people ask me that.
Yeah.
Especially when they find out if you put $10,000 in Bitcoin 2 years ago, today it's worth $86,000.
Oh, people are making tons of money from it. So that's why I need to know.
Even more impressive, if you put $10,000 in Bitcoin 10 years ago, today it's worth $60 million. And that's when really people...
Why didn't I do that?
I know.
Right? And part of my career, part of my story, somebody told me to buy Bitcoin when it was $100. Actually, it was this kid sitting in a cubicle right next to me. He said, hey, you got to buy Bitcoin. And I laughed at him. And I said, I'll never buy that magic internet money. And it was at $100. And a couple weeks later, I'm sitting in a cab next to a drunk guy, and he's like telling me, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm a gold broker. And he says, oh, well, you got to buy Bitcoin. It's going to change the world. If I just bought Bitcoin, it went from $100 to $300.
Wow.
And then I thought I missed it, right? I thought, oh, I missed it, just like Ford stock, just like every other, tech stock out there that I missed, Apple stock. A year later, a friend of mine sitting next to me at the cubicle next to me, he was a Korean guy. He put $250,000 into Bitcoin, turned it into $1 million in less than a year.
Unbelievable.
Finally said, Chris, you got to do this. And I broke the lock off my wallet, cashed in my 401k, and bought some Bitcoin at $3,000. It ran right to $18,000. And so back to answering your question, right? That's when people go, okay, what is Bitcoin?
Yeah.
It's just digital money, right? It's money you can send around the internet. As long as you've had a credit card or an online bank account, you've had digital money. So here's what's important. It solved a really big problem called the double spend, which is if I'm going to send you a digital dollar, how do I prove to you that I didn't send a copy of the same thing to somebody else? Because in the digital world, it's really easy to make copies, things like photos, any kind of digital content. So Bitcoin created a solution. It allows me to send you a dollar, prove that I didn't send it to anybody else. At the same time, we don't have any middlemen or banks, right, in the middle taking a fee or slowing things down. So Bitcoin created this kind of global version of cash or gold, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And it allows anybody to transfer value to anybody else in the world seamlessly over this global network.
You had mentioned it's like digital gold, right? What happens if the computer goes down? That's what people worry about. You still have safety?
So when you say what happens if the computer goes down, it's kind of like your bank, right? When you go to your bank and you ask for $500, right? They don't run to the back room and find a shoebox with all your dollars in it and come bring it back, right? It's all held on the bank's ledger. And that's what money is. If you study it, it's just a ledger. And Bitcoin is the best ledger ever created in history. And so, yeah.
So why should I invest in it?
Well, it's a fixed supply asset, right? So did you know there's only 21 million Bitcoin it can ever increase?
I didn't know the
That's
number,
it,
but
huh?
I knew that there was a not finite amount. There was just a set number, and that's it.
It's fixed. 21 million, it can never increase. And what it does is it gives people autonomous control over your finances, right? You're able to hold your own money, right? If I could be a bank, it would be the greatest thing in the world, right? I could be a bank. I can hold your money, right? Lend it out 10 times over and pay you 0.5% or whatever, no interest on your checking account. Then I'll charge 10, 20, 30% on credit cards and auto loans, right? I collect all the interest. And then if I go belly up because I took risky bets on subprime mortgages, the government's just going to bail me out with your tax dollars.
Right.
So the financial system is broken as we know it, right? You cannot trust your politicians. You cannot, especially
Wait
Gavin
a
Newsom,
second.
You're in the right room for this conversation.
right? There's no trust in the system. People have lost faith in institutions, right? So Bitcoin is not putting faith in people, right, to run something. It's a system that has rules, not rulers, right? So everybody plays by the same rules and everybody can play, right? There's no censorship.
Right. Now, you're listening to the 16th Annual Wealth Summit right here on AM 870 The Answer. Jen and Grant from The Morning Answer here. We're talking with Chris Mitchell, CEO and founder of Bitcoin Advisors. Want to give you this number. If you have questions, if you want more information about Bitcoin, 800-451-0662, 800-451-0652. And Chris
0662.
0662.
Yes.
Pardon me. 800-451-0662 is the correct number. And Chris, I want to ask you about the importance of using an advisor, because there are a lot of platforms where you can probably just go into the Bitcoin game, but what makes using an advisor the right step?
So, and my best advice to anybody right now, especially that we're in a bear market and stock market looks like it's going to get creamed, interest rates are going to continue to go higher, inflation's going higher, the Fed is lying out through their teeth about the inflation numbers over and over and over again, is don't invest in anything in crypto, just get educated, right? Don't invest in anything, get educated. And a simple way to do that, get our DVD. It's Bitcoin Life Savings Technology. You can go to our website, bitcoinadvisors.com, get a free brochure mailed to your house, and it's the expert guide to crypto IRAs. And just begin to get educated, because you don't want to miss this financial revolution, right? You know, there's a biblical principle out there, right? Sow a seed and get 100-fold, right? And there's kind of one last opportunity out there, and I believe it is in cryptocurrency, because just like the internet expanded from 1990 to the year 2000, right? We went from 0 people using the internet to everybody using the internet, right? Those people that said, I'll never use email or I'll never use a cell phone, right? Guess what they're doing now? They're using it, right? So there's 200 million active users of crypto right now. If we just keep growing at the same pace, which is about 113% a year adoption, in 3 years, 1 billion people will be using crypto. In 5 years, 3 billion people will be using crypto around the world. That is exponential growth, and that's what we saw in the dot-com bubble, right? In when people started using Apple and Microsoft and all the new internet companies came out. So there's going to be another boom, and we think Bitcoin's going to go to $250,000 over the next 3 to 5 years. So to answer your question about why use an advisor, well, if you do this on your own, you're going to get wrecked. It's called getting baptized, right? When Bitcoin goes from $4,000 to $69,000 in a year, everybody thinks they're a genius. Your gardener, your pool man, and your neighbor all are going to tell you about their favorite doggy coin to buy, right? And what happens is you just get lucky. And that's called the great old saying, don't confuse brains with a bull market. And that's exactly what that was when everybody last Super Bowl was getting on the TV, flaunting their crypto.com card and blah, 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 right? Bitcoin goes to 4,000 to 69,000. You think you're a genius, but what happens is if you don't know how to take profits, right? You don't know how to trade, then those paper profits will turn into realized losses and a lot of frustration along the way. So what we do is we give you the ability to pick up the phone and call somebody and talk to a live person, so you don't have to get baptized by fire, right?
Yes.
And we just come up with an investment strategy for you, custom tailored to you, whatever your time horizon is, right? If you're younger or, you're in the retirement red zone, right? We custom tailor a program that fits your needs. And
it's easier to explore with a map, right?
Yep.
Than just wander around.
Is there ever a scenario where you say, you know what, we're not going to worry really so much about the price. We think it's going to 250,000. When it goes to 60 now, 10 now, so we're just going to start collecting as much Bitcoin as we possibly can.
Yes, and that's when we are in a bull market, right? So, contrary to popular belief, people think that when stocks go down, Bitcoin will go up, or we call it digital gold because it's life savings technology in a sense. It is the ability for 8 billion people to store their wealth, right? You if you're in Africa, you can't put your life savings in Apple stock, right? If you're in Syria or Venezuela and your currency's collapsing, I don't know if you guys saw the currencies last year, but as the dollar skyrocketed, every other major currency, the British pound, the Japanese yen, they crashed 20, 30%, right? So what do you put your life savings in when your currency's crashing? You got gold, that's an option, and that's my history. I was a gold broker for 13 years. I started buying Bitcoin in 2015 and then started selling it to my clients in 2018. And it was just a real smooth transition. So forgive me, I'm just rambling now.
No,
this is
you're good.
interesting. This is great.
And you're getting into, because you were in gold, right? That was it seems like there's a lot of similarities here. How was the transition? What made you transition from gold into crypto?
Well, I had 3,000 gold customers, and I started buying, heavily Bitcoin in the 2017 region, and I saw it run from 3,000 to 18,000, and then I was like, wait a second, all these people investing in gold, which gold is a wealth preservation tool, right? And it hasn't been the best investment over the last 10 years. Since 2011, gold was at 1,900. Today, gold's at 1,825, right? Yeah. So if you just bought and held gold, probably didn't do too hot unless you were able to buy and sell and trade the asset, right? Gold fell from 1,900 back down to, I think, around 1,200. So maybe if you bought the dip, right? But with the high spreads out there, and it just hasn't performed as well as tech stocks, right? So, after learning about money and investments over the years, I saw how the risk to reward opportunity in Bitcoin was much greater. And so that's why I started to say, hey, if you got $100,000 in gold, why not put 10,000 in Bitcoin or 50,000 in Bitcoin?
And I think that's a key again, too. I mean, diversification and all this. You're not saying to sell all your stocks or sell all your gold. You're just saying diversify and put some money in Bitcoin.
Absolutely. It's just about another diversification and a way to get your assets, out of the system, right? Where you're not exposed to the bankers and the politicians who can change the rules on the drop of a dime.
Can you make money loaning off of your Bitcoin? So not taking a loan to yourself off the Bitcoin, but loaning somebody else off the Bitcoin.
Well, it's actually more, you can get a yield off of your Bitcoin. So there's different decentralized finance products that offer yield. So instead of, now the banks are paying a lot higher interest because interest rates have gone up so much, right? But you could get a yield, depending upon the market, anywhere from 4% to 10% on your Bitcoin, right? So you deposit your Bitcoin call it a Bitcoin bank, and then they pay you interest on that loan.
Huh.
And your Bitcoin still moves with the market.
Correct.
Look at you. Yeah. You got him over here. All right, Chris Mitchell is with us, CEO and founder of Bitcoin Advisors. Want you to get that brochure, the DVD, bitcoinadvisors.com. And advisors is spelled with the Z, right?
That's right. Bitcoin Advisors with a Z.com. I always joke we have a bunch of guys in the back office wearing visors and studying the charts all day long.
And that's you got to get yourself educated on Bitcoin. It is the future. Bitcoinadvisors.com. Get that brochure and the DVD. Now, as a finance broker, how do you advise your Christian clients, Chris, on whether to invest in cryptocurrency or in other assets? Is that a challenge?
That's a great question. I love the Lord myself, and I go to church right here at Spirit Food Christian Center in the Valley, and a lot of my friends from church, even my own pastor, have come to me, hey, should I invest in Bitcoin? And I've always told people the same thing, whether you're a Christian or not. Start out investing. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose completely, right? Start there. Put a little bit in.
For sure.
Track the investment over 6 to 9 months. And then if you like what you see and you feel more comfortable, you can add to it over time. So I think it's not, should I invest in Bitcoin? It's like, how much should I invest?
And start with the education. Get the brochure, the DVD right now, bitcoinadvisors.com. That's advisors with a Z. And you can always call 800-451-0662, 800-451-0662. Chris Mitchell, you'll be back with us in the next hour of the Wealth Summit. We want you all to join us as well. This is the live Wealth Summit right here on AM 870. Jennifer Horn, Grant Stinchfield from The Morning Answer, joined this year by Da Vinci Wealth Management, Bitcoin Advisors, and Midas Gold Group. When we continue, Ken Russo will join us from Midas Gold Group as the Wealth Summit continues right here on AM 870. Haven't figured out how we're going to make it work yet. Three. Welcome back to the AM 870 16th Annual Wealth Summit, broadcast live right here on The Answer. I'm Jennifer Horn. And this is the 16th annual version of this Wealth Summit. We want you to watch right now. AM870theanswer.com is where we are live video streaming. We also want you to contribute. If you have a question for any of our guests today, tweet it into us at AM870theanswer. And we have rolled out the red carpet now because the man himself is here returning to the Wealth Summit for at least the second time, maybe the third time. Ken Russo is here, Senior Vice President of Midas Gold Group. You hear about them a lot on this station. Ken Russo, welcome to the 16th Annual Wealth Summit.
Well, thank you.
And let's talk about gold, because I think a lot of people think it's kind of the thing that adds security to your investment portfolio, and that is important at a time when you have a market that's all over the place. You have a real estate market that is kind of on the brink, and a lot of chaos coming from Washington, D.C., a lot of oversight. We've talked about digital wallets and the government being able to insert themselves into your finances. Why is gold a good investment at a time like this right now?
Very relevant question. You know, Jen, I think every single American right now should be very concerned about the safety of their money and the value of their dollar. We are a gold dealer because we deal in gold.
That makes
You
sense.
know, I mean,
It
qualifies me to maybe be the vice president of the United States, actually.
That could. I think
Yes.
you maybe. Yeah, exactly. You got a little Kamala Harris logic going on.
Why not? If I was a little more promiscuous, I guess I would have a real shot. But I mean, the system right now is very dangerous. And
Yeah.
the reason why it is dangerous is that we've had unlimited money printing over the last 15, 20 years. The debt situation is going to be at least $50 trillion, according to the White House, which they stated last week. So that means that the interest on our debt is going to be $2 trillion a year. Where is all this money coming from? Mm-hmm. They're just going to print it out of thin air with a click of a mouse or the stroke of a computer key. That to me means that our system is fake.
Yeah.
It means to me that our money, which is backed by nothing since 1971, I don't know what it's going to be worth 5 or 10 years from now.
You know what they say. It's backed by the trust in the federal government. How many of you out there have trust in the federal government right now? And that's what our money is backed in?
Isn't our money supposed to be strong?
Yeah.
Isn't it supposed to be trustworthy? And I don't know what to believe from these people.
And it used to be backed by gold.
Absolutely. And in 1971, that all changed when President Nixon took us off of the gold standard. So our advice is to not, freak out, but our advice is to diversify.
Yep.
And our advice is to have the only form of real money, which has been real money since the Roman Empire.
And
which
this is you can
gold.
hold on to it.
It's the only way to own gold is in physical coin or bar form. So
Do you recommend that people, I always say, I love Midas Gold. I mean, I really do. And the people that use you guys to come up to me all the time and say they're so happy with you. I say put it in your gun safe. I even say bury it in your backyard. But do you recommend that people hold it themselves? You'll hold it too for them, right?
we don't hold it.
You don't hold it.
No, if you do an IRA, it's held at a non-bank depository. But to go back to your question,
Yeah.
to own gold in physical form is the only way to own gold. And the reason why is that you don't want to have all of your money in the banking system. You don't want to have all of your money in the stock market. You don't want to have all of your money in paper.
Right.
So we would recommend every single American right now should be pulling a portion of their savings, a portion of their checking, a portion of their cash reserves out of the banking system, out of the stock market, out of the bond market, and converting into something that they could hold on to in their own possession. It'll collect dust. And remember, gold typically holds its value.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a simple question? What's the best form of gold to hold? Is it coins? Do you send bars?
I would say every client's a little different, Grant, and I would say that every client, depending on their size of their war chest, it depends. We're not trying to make people collectors, but we believe that there should be a substantial part of your net worth, of your paper assets, that shouldn't be connected to a system that is going digital. We are going to have a central bank digital currency. That means that they can turn our money on and off whenever they want.
It's so frightening. And we actually got a Twitter question from Luke at AM870, the answer on Twitter, by the way. And the question was that he was just starting out, and he said, if I have $100 a month, should I buy silver or maybe another metal, or should I save it up into something more significant and buy gold? What would be your advice in that situation?
Well, I mean, you can get a gram of gold for $90. I mean, every single investor can diversify. And if somebody said to me, I have $100, I would say, well, why don't you consider taking a part of that and possibly thinking about putting it into real money like gold or like silver. Something that you could hold on to, something that will be in your possession, where if we wake up one morning and something happens and our money at the bank is gone, or we all know there's not enough money at the bank for everybody, right? If we showed up and we all wanted our money, we understand that the FDIC is a sham. I would say, why don't you consider taking a portion of it and holding it yourself in the only form of real money that's been real money for thousands of years, being gold.
So small investments are okay for people that are just starting out then. Is gold the preference, or do you recommend, why would someone do other precious metals? How do they play the market when it comes to choosing where to put their money when it comes to gold and precious metals?
Well, of course, everyone's different, but gold is direct protection against a falling dollar. So as our dollar loses value over the next 5 or 10 years, who knows what our dollar is going to be worth after they're finished printing and after the system's torn down? Who knows? So that's where gold comes in. Silver's an industrial precious metal. I think that there's a valid case that silver is undervalued. It's also in smaller denominations, $20, $25, $30 pieces of silver. Will we have to barter someday? I don't think so, but it's good to have a backup plan anyway. Platinum's very undervalued. As you know, there's a climate change agenda. All BS, but whatever. And platinum is a big player in clean energy. So it's good to have a mix of precious metals. I would never put all of your eggs into any one basket, and that's one of the reasons why we're talking about gold in the first place. But I would also tell someone there's also opportunities in silver, and there's also opportunities in platinum as well as gold. But gold, in our opinion, is the main precious metal for wealth preservation.
The gold standard, if you will.
Create your own gold standard.
There you go.
We would urge people to do.
Not to scare everybody, but I'm so hot on this electricity grid that's totally vulnerable to EMP strikes. And so I like holding gold in smaller denominations because God forbid something happened and that I actually need to trade. Like
your
on
money.
The street, right? Like I need to say to my neighbor, you know what? I need that fuel can that you have. And people think I'm crazy though, but I got food in my garage and I got ammunition loaded up to the ceiling. So that's my philosophy.
Got ammo in gold.
There you go.
So I would say you're right to feel that way, and it's your money, and you've worked very hard for it. And I would say to you, wouldn't it make sense to have a little bit of it in your own control?
What do you say to the people that are listening? We have some young people that listen to this program. And they're like, man, you talk about gold. You're talking about the 60-year-old guy. He's a multimillionaire. He's putting money into gold. That's not the case, is it?
Not at all. I mean, there's one form of real money which typically holds its value, something that has been money for thousands of years. And in my opinion, every single investor should have a significant portion of their overall plan in an asset like that. It all can't be stocks, mutual funds, annuities, CDs, money markets. That's not diversified. That's all paper.
Right. And all part of the same system, really. You're listening to the AM 870 Wealth Summit, and we're talking with Ken Russo, Senior Vice President of Midas Gold Group. If you want to get in touch with these folks, we always say they're veteran-owned. They're fantastic. You can go and talk to them in person, which I think is absolutely important when you're deciding about your investments. 805-601-6000. That's 805-601-6000, or MidasGoldGroup.com. That's MidasGoldGroup.com. And, Ken, I think there are a lot of people who are saying we want to hold on to gold. It's that safe space for us. Is that something that you're going to cash out at some point? Maybe if Grant says things go wrong, or is another reason for people to get gold so that they can pass it down and it becomes generational wealth that they can pass on from father to son to grandson?
Either. And it's good to have that option. I think gold, if it does value what the dollar loses, will be $5,000, $10,000 per ounce in the next 10 years. So there would be an opportunity to increase your wealth. But I would urge people to not even care about the price of gold. I would urge them to understand that that's their insurance for their money that they've worked very hard for. And if something goes bad, if something comes up that was unexpected, it'll be there for you when you need it. And that's how I would urge people to look at it. And it goes back to what Grant said before about trust. Do you trust your money? Are you going to trust the government that spent more on the Ukraine-Russia war than Russia has to make the right decisions about your money, well, I'm sorry, not me.
Right.
I'm not all of it.
Yeah, spending more on their borders than our own borders. I say all the time, because we love you guys, or with us, sponsors of the Morning Answer, and I say just start hoarding it, man. Just hoard it, collect as much as you can. You got some money, put it towards it, and just keep at it that way. Now, one of the reasons I say that is because this administration is hell-bent on a, quote, digital currency that the central bank runs. I'm not talking about decentralized crypto. I'm talking about centralized digital currency. That's money they can make a social credit score. You don't act the way they want you to act. They could probably take it from you, shut it down. Who knows what?
The Canadian truckers aren't too far away from reality here.
Exactly. Are you as concerned as I am about that?
Very concerned and very nervous, and that's absolutely where we're headed. And what about our financial privacy? We're a veteran-owned company. We fought for freedom. We believe that financial privacy for every single American right now is under attack, and we would urge them to do something about it. And one of the easiest things that you can do to avoid digital currencies, to avoid being controlled, to avoid losing your financial privacy, is to diversify and get some of the money out of that type of system. We're absolutely headed to that. And when we reset, who knows how much our money will be worth in that kind of a system. But if we are controlled, and if it is a digital system, it's going to be a lot easier to make those sorts of adjustments.
Has there been any indications of the government trying to come after gold, limit people's ability to purchase it? Because the way they're so devious, I wouldn't put them past that.
1933, through executive order, President Roosevelt asked everybody to turn in their gold. But remember, in 1933, gold was a big portion of the monetary system. They needed the gold to be able to print more money. Today, all the money's in mutual funds, annuities, real estate, bonds. Actually, the amount of financial net worth in gold is only about 1% of all financial assets. It's not that big of a market compared to everything else. So I would say if there is going to be a confiscation, it will probably be of cash. If there is going to be a confiscation, it will probably be because of a push of a button. Because everything is connected to the banking system, everything is paper. So, they have tried to make gold ownership illegal back in 1933. Today, I don't think gold is going to solve their problems.
It almost sounds like at 1% of the wealth, and that's in America?
Yes.
In America, that this sounds like an under-the-radar opportunity.
Absolutely, right?
A necessary undervalued opportunity under the radar, a necessity, in my opinion. Why would you keep all of your money in this type of a system?
We just have one more minute left, but I do want to ask this to you, Ken, because I think a lot of people get stressed and go, gosh, I have to have a lot of money. We were talking about all kinds of investors can come to gold, but one of the things that you can do is use an old IRA or an old 401k. We talked about that earlier in the Wealth Summit. If you have something that's not necessarily working for you, if you've switched jobs, you can use that to put gold into your portfolio.
Maybe you want to stop the bleeding. This economy is going to get real bad. You're seeing the layoffs, rising interest rates. This is not going to all of a sudden just get rosy. This is going to get nasty. And earnings from companies are going to suffer. And we know when earnings suffer, stocks go down.
Yeah.
So if you want to stop the bleeding in your retirement account, if you don't want to have all of your retirement nest egg connected to the banking system, wouldn't it make sense to diversify some of it into an asset like gold, which is hard money?
Real quick, because we're all out of time. Is there a percentage you'd like to see people's net worth in gold?
Everyone's different. Okay, and that requires a conversation, but I would say that the risks at this point are more than ever within the banking system and in our paper money. If the risks are greater today than they've ever been in history, wouldn't you consider possibly a bigger portion of your your paper assets converted to a hard money like gold? Typically, it's about 10%, which people talk about and they've talked about for years. I would say up to 25% of your paper assets right now for the right situation, not living expense money, not emergency money, should potentially be converted to the safety of a hard asset like gold, Jen.
Get your free guide right now. Call Midas Gold Group today. Don't wait. 805-601-6000. 805-601-6000. MidasGoldGroup.com online. That's MidasGoldGroup.com. They've got a storefront in Thousand Oaks. You can go visit with them. face-to-face. Ken Russo, Senior Vice President of Midas Gold Group, thanks so much. I know you'll be with us in the next hour. We'll talk some more. This is the live Wealth Summit on AM 870. Jennifer Horn, Grant Stinchfield, here from the Morning Answer, joined this year by DaVinci Wealth Management, Bitcoin Advisors, and Midas Gold Group. When we continue, Lindahl Lucas of DaVinci Wealth Management. Thanks for joining us on the AM 870. Thanks for joining us live at the 16th Annual Wealth Summit right here on AM 8. I'm Jennifer Horn.
And I'm Grant
And we host the Morning Answer, heard
Yes,
right
we
here
do.
on the station. Hope you'll join us 6 to 9 a.m. each and every weekday. And we thank you for being a part of this. We want you to watch the live stream if you'd like to see this all live and in video, high definition.
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
AM870theanswer.com is the place to find that. You can also contribute questions on our Facebook page or on Twitter at AM870theanswer. Our wealth summits are the place for those of you who are concerned concerned with investments, insurance, your portfolio, real estate, the stock market, and a whole lot more. And joining us back again, Lindahl Lucas is with us. He is the CEO and founder of Da Vinci Wealth Management. Welcome back, Lindahl. Thank you for being here.
Again, I'm having a great time. Thank you for having me.
And
happy to have
before we jump into some other questions, we do have
Yes.
someone on Facebook. You're in the hot seat now.
Okay, I love it.
Listener Tony, who is on Facebook, says, is 54 years old too late to set up a retirement plan? That's your age, by the way.
I just turned
Grant.
54 today.
Grant's
Maybe
just
he's asking for me.
celebrating a birthday. And he says, what about whole life insurance? This is from Tony. A couple of questions
Tony,
for
I
you.
think that you should sell everything, move back home with your parents, and you're going to be fine. No, joking. Seriously.
That's my retirement plan,
is that
by
yours?
the way, yes.
It's some people's retirement. Honestly, it's not. But you have to throw money at your retirement, Tony. That's really going to be the issue. Like I said before, I just and it was and honestly, actually, it was a life insurance policy that I wrote for one of my clients. And I'll just give you some of the particulars. She's putting in $50,000 a year, and we just did it for 12 years. She's 54.
Yeah.
And when she retires, after those 12 years, she'll have almost $1.1 million. And she's going to be able to use it tax-free, Tony. That's going to be, that's the key. There are vehicles out there. There are products out there, investment
You're
strategies
late to the
out there
game, though, at 54. Here's the message.
Oh, that's late to the game. But
It's-
think about $1.1 million.
That's huge. Yeah, that's
is almost
huge.
$2 million.
Yeah.
That's really what you need, because you're not paying taxes. You won't have to pay taxes on this.
That's true.
That's one of the great things.
Tax-free.
Yeah,
When
and
can you
it's
say
and it's just
that?
having finding somebody who knows what they're doing. That really becomes the biggest
Now,
issue.
you just said a written retirement plan.
Yes, I did.
And I've noticed in our time now that we've spent together, and I like this about you. You say kind of do a mock job. Early on in the Wealth Summit, you said kind of mock up what your taxes are going to look like.
Yes.
And if you do, you can figure out where you can make some tweaks and changes before you go to your CPA. Now you've talked about a written retirement plan, and you've said that a few times. So how do I do this? Is it a PowerPoint? Because I love those. I'm a writing down kind of girl.
Yeah, we do have some PowerPoints. So this is what I teach when I
Okay.
teach classes at UCLA, Pepperdine, some junior colleges. It's adult ed, basically. It's pre-retirees and retirees that come in and want to learn a little bit. But the thing I usually like to ask is, are you the kind of person that wants to be certain about your retirement, that your golden years are going to be golden, that you're going to be okay, or even maybe amazing, hopefully, right? How would you like to have complete control of your retirement? To be able to know that all your expenses are going to be paid, that you'll never run out of money. Or would you be able to take those vacations, go to Rome, go to Greece, and heck, do it every year without a problem? That's what a plan does. Setting up a plan would allow you to accomplish that. Too many people shoot from the hip.
Right.
I always tell them, hey, if you have a written plan, your success is over 90%.
Right.
I've got hundreds of thousands of case studies talking Harvard, Yale, Stanford, UCLA, USC.
So do you go through literally, I'm a hotel snob, so
Yep.
I know in retirement that I need to stay at X hotel because I'm a hotel snob.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to need, you do. So
I create an individualized blueprint for each person. They have their own they have their own written retirement plan, their own blueprint, specifically tailored for them. And I sit down, I listen to what they want to do. What are their goals? What do they want to accomplish? How do they want their retirement to be? You can have a successful retirement, but if you're sitting back there thinking oh my God, I'm dependent upon the stock market, what if it's going to go down?
you said a key word which a lot of people don't do, and it's great in radio. It's called listening. The best the best interviewer are the ones who listen.
Absolutely.
The best
Yes.
money managers, wealth
Yeah.
advisors are the ones who listen. Your website, I just want to say it again because I want to make sure people go there. DaVinciWealthManagement.com. DaVinciWealthManagement.com. So I'm sure there are seniors now watching the stock market go in the tank, right?
Yes,
Panicking.
absolutely.
Right. Well, look, you don't have to be a senior to watch that. I'm
Yeah.
54 and I'm watching the stock market go in the tank. But what do you do, or is there anything you can tell seniors to protect themselves from a stock market crash?
Well, yeah, there's a couple different things. The number one thing that I look at, obviously you need to take risk out of your portfolio. As we get older, that's one of the things. It's standard, you should do a certain percentage of bonds, maybe more bonds now that you're in the, as you're getting older, because you got to take the risk out of it. But, it's not about the risk ultimately with everything being 100%. What it is it's about how your money is going to last through your retirement. Like, will you have enough? How much do you have? How will it work? Most people don't have a clue how that works. A lot of people come to me and they say, hey, you know what? Here's my money, right? Their standard advisor just says, hey, you did a good job. You made 10%. Slap them on the back. They walk out the door. And they don't come up with a customized plan to show them how it's going to work, how you're going to work with inflation. We look at everything: insurance, taxes, your trust. We'll look at Social Security, Medicare, everything like that. And we put it all into a plan. And that's kind of the thing that we do, which is pretty awesome. We have an income plan, an investment plan, and a financial plan.
Do you cover all aspects of it? So do you do insurance? Do you get into the estate planning when anything like that? Or you have people that you push them to do those things?
Yes, we do. Let me first say, I'm not a CPA, so I'm not the tax guy, right? But I deal with it a lot, so I have a pretty good knowledge.
That's why you're fun.
Exactly, right? And then we have a trust attorney on staff. We have a CPA on staff. I'm also an insurance broker. We have a brokerage firm. We've been doing this for over 30 years. Been a long time. I love what I do. I love what I do, so I never work a day in my life, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, we have access to all that information, but we take all the information from all of our clients. We sit down with them, and then we figure out what they're trying to accomplish. If they want to stay in the best hotels, we're gonna build that into their plan.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go somewhere. You want to go to Greece. You want to go to Europe. You want to go to Italy. You want to go wherever it is. Croatia, right?
Like it.
Game of Thrones was filmed there. I love that show.
I know. That's a good one. And I love this question. You start to plan for what you want. What is your retirement? Some people want to stay home. Some people want to just relax. Some people want to travel. I love the retirement plan idea because you can plan for what you're really looking to do when retirement comes. Lindahl Lucas is with us. He's the CEO and founder of Da Vinci Wealth Management. You can find them at www.davinciwealthmanagement.com, 310-994-1596. That's the phone number, 310-994-1596. And I have to ask you this question because no one has a crystal ball in front of them.
Exactly.
When we are writing these retirement plans, I mean, the only thing that is certain in life is that there's going to be some curveballs thrown at you.
Always.
There are also different governments that come in, and I don't think any of us could have predicted that inflation was at like 8% almost overnight.
Exactly. We're at a 40-year high.
We're at a 40-year high. And so this has got to be really difficult as you're looking forward. Probably people in my age, okay, how much do I really need to have? What's inflation going to look like? Are we keeping at this pattern or are we going to go back to Trump levels, which was 1%? So how do you figure that out when you're trying to make that, trying to figure out the equation as to what people are going to need?
Well, you know what we do? We do look at when you're looking at inflation. First of all, inflation is too many dollars chasing too few goods. So
Right.
there's a whole bunch of money out there, right?
$8 eggs.
$8 eggs.
Yeah. Which I can't throw at Joe Biden's
I know,
motorcade.
right?
They're
Can't do
coming
it.
through East Palestine. I thought they were going to throw eggs, but
Nope.
no,
I don't
they're
get it,
too
right?
expensive.
Yeah.
Too expensive
Yeah.
to throw eggs.
It's like gold, really.
You know what? Inflation is a killer. Inflation is horrible for the poor and especially for retirees. They're on
Yes.
fixed income budgets.
Can you
right?
capitalize on that? Make money off it?
Off of
Inflation?
Shoot, I'm trying. Well, the government does, right? I'm like going, holy cow! It's scary. It's scary. Inflation is scary because you know what? I go back to sometimes use an example in 1970, right? 70s. I remember going to the gas station with my mom, sitting in her Ford Pinto wagon that had fake wood on the side. Wait on a Tuesday because the last number of the license plate
Right.
was a 6, right? And then we were buying gas. Same thing. We're kind of in a mirror situation right now from what I've done, from listening to a lot of the top economists out there in the country. But right now, 93% of all CEOs out there think that we're heading toward a recession. If we don't hit it the first quarter, we're definitely going to hit the next quarter. The S&P's got another 20 points to go down. It's scary. So especially in retirement, you just need to make sure that you're in a good vehicle that's going to help you with your investments and it's going to protect you. There's some things out there. Like I said, I don't get into specific products right now just because probably have to do a zillion disclaimers, right? But there's some great things out there, and the thing of it is that I've solved some amazing equations for some of my clients, and I loved it. It's awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I feel really good about it.
I
So
like
that's
it.
interesting because, so to make it clear for people, they go to DaVinciWealthManagement.com,
Yes, sir.
DaVinciWealthManagement.com. We're not talking about the intricate vehicles that you can put them in because of all the disclaimers and all the freaking crazy regulations that you must face through all of this.
Exactly.
But those things exist,
Yeah.
and someone goes into your office to see you or
Yes.
talk to you. that's the kind of thing you'll be talking to them about.
Absolutely. And one other thing I wanted to say is that, if I get general advice is general advice, right? And everybody is very unique and they're very specific. So for me to make a suggestion for somebody on their investments or their retirement or whatever it may be, I really need to know about them. I really need to understand who they are, what they're looking for, and everything else, because that all goes part of the equation. And as a fiduciary, right, I have a legal, moral, and ethical responsibility to put the needs of my client ahead of my own.
Is there a minimum number that you need to come see you? A certain amount of money you have to have in order to
I don't want the guy
Grant
that
has
only
4
has
cents. He's wondering if he
it
can
only
invest.
has $5,000 coming and knocking on your door. But is there a number there that people should know?
Yeah, actually, with our firm, we usually like if you have $500,000 or more. But when I do teach, I've made it a goal, whatever, to it doesn't matter what anybody's trying to accomplish. As a teacher, as an educator, I want to make sure that I take care of everybody that I can. So it's the same. Anybody who's listening to the show, anybody who wants to come over, we'll sit down and we'll talk to you. We'll create a plan for you if you like. We'll help you with your retirement or your investments if you like, with no minimums.
You know what's funny? My son went into the Rolex store, and they gave him a coffee table book of Rolexes. And they were so nice to him, and they spent time with him. This reminds me of the same exact thing. You talk to somebody that comes in that maybe doesn't have now, but you're breeding future clients. That Rolex store was breeding a future client.
Exactly.
And you've got the book, which I think people should know about, because no matter what your budget, you can get this book right now. It's free. All you have to do is go to DaVinciWealthManagement.com, and it's 10 successful steps basically to a retirement, right? Why not get that to start?
That's a great place to start. Take a look at it. And then, if somebody wanted to talk to me about it a little bit more and actually set something up, I would love to speak with them.
All right. So this is kind of depressing, but Grant, you brought up your son. And when you have a son, when you have a daughter, when you have a family, you want to make sure that you have something to leave for them.
How old's your son?
He's 29.
29.
You don't look old enough.
How did he get so old? I'm only 34.
That's amazing. And you're a medical mystery is what you are.
I don't even know how we do it.
If you're not streaming, you should, because Lindahl, Lucas, you're such a good-looking young guy. I can't even imagine 29.
My
Please.
13-year-old is in the green room.
I saw him.
I've got,
really nice kid.
a little, I'm starting him on a path. A lot of it's for educational purposes.
Yeah.
But is that part of the family plan when they come into you if they have kids?
Oh, they can do that. Yeah, absolutely. I just started a couple of Roth IRAs for one of my clients. Actually, the client that did the $50,000 a year into that life insurance policy. She set up a couple of Roth IRAs for her kids, which again, we love Roth IRAs because they're tax free, and their kids are in their 20s. There's a example actually of what you can do when you're young, and if you were to put like $2,400 away a year.
I've read about that.
Right, into an IRA. 10% growth, and just say you just sock it away, just do it. And if you just did it for 10 years from 21 to 31, by the time you turn 65, you would have over $1 million. We
got to get young Wyatt on that path. I think
the
that's
younger
great.
you are, the sooner you do it, the better off you can actually be.
So
somehow I have a feeling Dad's going to be the one putting the 2,400 in.
But then when he gets a job,
you do that for 10 years for your son.
Yeah.
You've given him a great life.
Think
You've given him a great
about that.
retirement.
Yes.
Okay,
just don't touch it before 59.
Tax efficiency is a huge thing. I just went through this. My grandfather passed. It's a nightmare when that happens, not just because you're dealing with the loss, but you're also dealing with where all of his investments were and dealing with it so that we're not all hit with huge tax burns.
Absolutely, right?
What's the best way to do that? And can you put that into your retirement plan so that you can figure out the best way to pass on your wealth when you're no longer here?
Well, it's funny that you asked that question because I sell a mattress that you could just stuff all your cash into.
Patented Phil, right?
Oh my God, it's amazing. And it's got down.
Yeah,
it's down
you put your My Pillow on top of it. You sleep like a baby on top of all those millions. I like it.
You know what? It depends on where you're at. Most people are not at the threshold of the $12 million for the whole estate taxing and everything like that. But some accounts or some estates are $1 million to $10 million, whatever it is. But you have to understand sometimes there will be some taxes, there will be some things you have to pay for, right? A lot of people, they leverage their assets, and a lot of people buy life insurance. Life insurance is the number one vehicle that the government endorses. It's 100% tax free. The IRS, the Internal Revenue Code, just says, hey, it's 100% tax free. So you can actually not diversify, but you can actually put money into a life insurance policy. If you put $1 million into a life insurance policy that covered you for $5 million, and you know you're going to die, because there's two things in life that are certain, right? Death
Tell
and
me
taxes.
about it.
Yeah.
You know, if you could just
Sometimes I don't know what's worse.
Oh, I know, right? Well, I don't want to find out.
I know.
I know you don't want to talk about specifics, but there's some real fabulous things to do with life insurance. I mean, you can borrow against your own
Right.
cash or your
Well,
life
that's what I was
insurance.
talking about. The lady that I wrote that policy for,
Yeah.
she's actually going to be able to borrow against it tax-free, and it's all set up through the government.
It helps you out. Now,
Yeah.
this is great. All right, so 10 steps to a successful retirement.
Yes.
That's the free book. Get it right now. All you have to do is
Get it
go
while
to the
it's
website.
hot.
Get it while it's hot. Exactly. DaVinciWealthManagement.com. That's the website, DaVinciWealthManagement.com. You can also call 310-994-1596. That's 310-994-1596. Lindahl Lucas, CEO and founder of Da Vinci Wealth Management. Thank you so much for being here. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, you guys are so nice to me. I appreciate it.
Well,
Great,
you're
great
awesome. You're
information,
welcome here
really, and so
anytime.
important. I mean, this is about the future
Yep.
of families
Yeah.
and lives and all those things. This is really important
Yeah,
stuff.
you know what? I'm glad I can help. That's one thing I've made it a focus in my practice is to help people as much as I can.
DaVinciWealthManagement.com. This is the Live Wealth Summit on AM 870. Jennifer Horn, Grant Stinchfield here from The Morning Answer, joined this year by Da Vinci Wealth Management, Bitcoin Advisors, and Midas School Group. When we continue, Chris Mitchell of Bitcoin Advisors. Joining us on the 16th Annual Wealth Summit, heard live right here on AM 870 The Answer. I'm Jennifer Horn.
And I'm Grant Stinchfield.
And we are the hosts of the Morning Answer, 6 to 9 a.m. each and every weekday. Join us. We have a whole lot of fun. And we get serious every once in a while,
Yeah,
too.
of
Like when
course
we're
we
talking
do.
about our money. That we
Yes.
take very seriously. And don't forget, if you'd like to watch us, we are live in HD action at am870theanswer.com. You can also tweet your questions or Facebook them on our Facebook stream or on Twitter at am870theanswer. And joining us right now is Chris Mitchell, CEO and founder of Bitcoin Advisors. When you're looking for them, by the way, the advisors spelled with the Z. Chris, welcome back to the Wealth Summit.
Thank you.
Now, before we jump into it, we do have some questions for you online. You're making quite the splash with our audience. Dennis wants to know, he says, I'm using Coinbase. Is that a good idea?
So I would say, depending upon what your goal is, Coinbase. So I have a YouTube channel also, and I just put out a video called Nightmare on Coinbase, where I was trading about $500,000. And what happens is on Coinbase often is there's a high volume of trading and the thing just shuts down. So let's say you have, $500,000 worth of whatever coin and you're trying to sell it before it crashes and the site just goes down, right? That can't be too good. But, if you're processing smaller transactions, probably not going to run into a problem. And if you're not trading at a time where there's high market volatility, so that's my 2 cents there. Additionally,
So it sounds to me like for the Coinbase, I'm going to buy some Bitcoin today. I'm not going to think about it for a while. I got a little bit. Fine. If you're trading that on a regular basis, probably not the place.
yes.
Very well. Look at you. All right, one more question from the online community. You've got a question saying, why is there a limit to how much Bitcoin you can own? It's a good question.
Shouldn't be, is it?
Great question. So there's not a limit to how much Bitcoin you can own. There's a limit to how much Bitcoin can ever exist, right? So there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. And a lot of people don't know this. There's actually only about 18 million in circulation right now. So the last 3 million Bitcoin will not be released into the system until the year 2140.
Wow.
And that's built into the code, right?
That's 100% correct. So there's something called Bitcoin mining, which says, okay, let's say I want to buy your car, right? And so I want to send you 2 Bitcoin, right? So in order for me to send 2 Bitcoin from my wallet to your wallet, it has to be done through a process called Bitcoin mining or verification. So there's, thousands of computers all over the world competing to solve a very complex math problem. Whoever solves it first gets paid in Bitcoin. And that's the process of Bitcoin mining. That's how new Bitcoin are released into the system. And something happens every 4 years. It's called the Bitcoin halving, where they cut the mining reward in half. So to use a hypothetical number, let's say right now, if you solve a Bitcoin transaction, you get paid 4 Bitcoin this year. After the halving, you only get paid 2 Bitcoin. 4 years later, it'll only be 1 Bitcoin. So it's actually a deflationary product instead of inflationary.
But it would work for the miner because the price of the Bitcoin is going up.
Right.
So they're could get more even though they're getting half, right? Is that
That's the idea. And there's a big narrative surrounding the halving, which is actually, I think, don't quote me on this, it's happening in about 1.5 years from now. The next Bitcoin halving. It's all on a public blockchain. So everybody knows when the halving is going to happen, right? And so leading up to the halving, everybody knows that the supply of Bitcoin is going to go down, right? So if you have an increase in demand in a shrinking supply, what does that do to the price? So something that we coach our clients, and that's what we are, a Bitcoin coach. You can pick up the phone, call somebody and ask a question like that by just going to our website or calling the number, is we coach our clients. It's a buy the rumor, sell the news type of event. So what does buy the rumor, sell the news mean? That means the rumor is, Bitcoin's going to skyrocket because of the halving. So there's all this hype surrounding it, and usually the price pumps into the halving. And then what happens is it dumps on the retailers that don't know what they're doing, right? So the price goes up, everybody gets hyped into it, and then the people that have been around the block, right, been around 3 or 4 halvings, they know it's time to sell or take profits. And that's when it's so important.
And that is you guys. That's Bitcoin Advisors. That's what this is all about. So what I would say is, I've talked a lot tonight about I believe in a diversified portfolio, and I do believe that Bitcoin should be part of that portfolio. It is confusing. It doesn't mean you don't look. I've studied it a lot, and I still get confused, and I feel like I kind of know what it is, but I would love an organization like yours. So in this case, if you're going to have a diversified portfolio, you want Bitcoin, you study up on it, but then call you guys to help you hone in, because it can get complicated.
Confusing, right?
Yeah, and what I would say is that a lot of people believe in crypto. They understand it's going to be part of the future, and they just don't know quite how to get involved, right? So that's why we've made it really easy to talk to a live person. Try and get somebody on the phone from Coinbase. Good luck. It just doesn't happen. I actually lost $20,000 on Coinbase. Couldn't get my money back for over a year. Had to file a lawsuit against them to get the money.
Wow.
Right. And I've heard thousands of horror stories out there. So coming from the gold industry, most of my clients are between 60 and 90 years old, believe it or not. And that's what we do, is we give people the ability to pick up the phone and call and say buy, call and say sell, right? Or what should I do? And I also want people to know, if you believe in the narrative of crypto and you own, let's say you own a few $1,000s worth of Bitcoin on Coinbase, right? Why not put it in an IRA where it will grow tax-free?
Can you put the Bitcoin in an IRA?
Absolutely. And we sell this investment guide called The Expert's Guide to Crypto IRAs. So you can absolutely do it. And the custodian we use, called Kingdom Trust, is 100% insured by Lloyd's of London, the oldest insurance company in the world. Insures against fires, thefts, terrorism, acts of God. If anything happens to your crypto, it's 100% insured.
And you've got to tell us about not only the brochure, which you just did, you can add crypto to your IRA, but also the DVD. And you can get this 800-451-0662, 800-451-0662, bitcoinadvisors.com. That's advisors with the Z. And this DVD that you have, you tell us, is like a $2,000 course that's free if you call right now. And I want you to write this down. This is incredible information. 800-451-0662 or bitcoinadvisors.com. Tell us what's on there.
So this DVD, and I always tell clients this, is if it's somebody would have explained me this stuff when I first got into crypto, I would be millions of dollars wealthier. Millions of dollars. No, I'm not even joking. Millions of dollars wealthier. We've put in here the information you need to know about what Bitcoin is, how it works, and I'm including 4 parts to our Bitcoin Mastering Trading series, which is going to be $2,000 worth of value. Right now, you're going to get it for free if you call in while supplies last. And yeah, all you got to do is call in, mention you heard us on the show, and we'll get you a copy for free.
How do you combat? So I used to own oil change businesses, right? And one of the reasons I left TV and I opened up an oil change business, I said, I want to give somebody a place they can go where they can trust. Their wife comes in. Here I was an investigative reporter for a local. Bitcoin has the same kind of thing as, oil change business. Everybody thinks you're out to get them. There's greed surrounding everybody. You don't know who's a huckster, who's not. I know you're a Christian-based company, Christian values. How do you combat that with people?
So that's a great question. And, what I would say is, one, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. You can go online and read some of our reviews, some of our testimonials. But faith comes by hearing, hearing by the word of God, right? And you can hear it in somebody's voice when they're telling the truth to you. And I would say, not only that, use your experience in just talking to people. And I feel the same way. Going to a car place, I don't know the first thing, right?
Can people come visit you?
Yeah, we have an office right in Westlake Village, California. You can drive down.
Nice.
shake somebody's hand, right? You're not dealing with somebody over in another country or speaking another language. We are, a Christian-based company, and,
Jen and I talk a lot on our program on the morning about intuition. And we specifically said, look somebody in the eye, shake their hand, the feeling you get. And we wouldn't have you and the other guys on here if we didn't have good intuition, or even use you guys. And we wouldn't have you in here if we didn't believe in what you're doing. But there's something to be said for going and meeting somebody face to face. I would urge everyone to go down to your offices and do that.
When it's your money, it is so important to look someone in the eye. It just makes all the difference.
Part of the vision for somebody asked me the other day, what was your vision for, as a matter of fact, we were having Bible study at my office, and one of the guys said, what was your vision for Bitcoin Advisors? And I said, look, we want to be the Fidelity of cryptocurrency, right? When you have a question about your retirement account, you drive on down, and if you're lucky, you get an appointment with your financial advisor, right? At Bitcoin Advisors, you're going to be able to pick up the phone, call somebody, talk to somebody, and you can drive down to the office and meet us face to face.
And you're getting all these resources. You're getting that DVD, which is a $2,000 value, a free brochure as well, so that you can add crypto to your IRA. What do you think? And Chris Mitchell is with us from Bitcoin Advisors, bitcoinadvisors.com, advisors with a Z. I want to tell you that so that you can get the spelling right. But what do you see the future of cryptocurrency, Chris? There's a lot of people who are all on board, some people who are a little scared, but I can only imagine as we keep going down this path, it's only going to get bigger, right?
Yes. So it's all about adoption, right? So how fast does Bitcoin get adopted? And just like technology, you have what's called exponential growth, right? Mm-hmm. Every home in America, guess what? They have a microwave, they have a telephone, they've got a car, right? They're not washing their clothes in a river anymore. So now that you have Bitcoin, you're able to save your own money, right? You don't have to leave it at the bank. You can save your own money and keep it yourself. And then you can send money anywhere in the world instantly for free, right? So let me give you an example. Let's say I'm in my hotel room in Tokyo and I want to send you $10,000. If I use a traditional bank, I've got to go get in a cab, fill out a bunch of forms, right? Go down to the bank, talk to a banker. And then if I'm lucky, it'll take 72 hours and it'll cost me $50. With Bitcoin, I just sent you that money right now instantly for free while we're on the phone or whatever I'm doing. I didn't even have to leave my hotel room. And so here's the main point is you don't have to get permission from a government. You don't need a banker. You don't need anybody. All you need is you and your other counterparty and your cell phones to do it. And that's the power of Bitcoin.
Do you deal in other cryptocurrencies? It seems like there's 52 million different ones out there.
Absolutely. And so being from the gold industry, I used to tell people, look, Bitcoin is digital gold, Ethereum is digital silver, and just stick with that. Everything else is probably going to disappear one day. And what happened is I had clients that would put 50 grand or 100 grand. It turned into $500,000 or $1 million. And they would call me up and say, hey, Chris, I heard about Doggy Coin, or I heard about this and this coin. I heard about this coin. So what I did is reached out to some of my friends in the hedge fund industry and said, hey guys, what do you think? What's going to work? And I had a group of clients last year that those 5 guys put 25 grand into Sandcoin. Believe it or not, it's a metaverse coin. Right around when Facebook changed their name from Facebook to Meta, right? Their $25,000 turned into $800,000 in 3 months.
Wow.
So talk about life-changing wealth. Talk about, sowing a seed, getting 100-fold return. There's going to be those opportunities again. And let me repeat, Bitcoin is not a get-rich-overnight scheme. That doesn't always happen, and you have to be at the right time at the right place to get involved with something like that. Mm-hmm. So don't go put all your money on Sandcoin or anything like that. It's not financial advice, right?
Right.
But I just want people to know that, if you're looking to extend your retirement, right, and you have some assets that you can put a little risk on, well, there's going to be some opportunities after the bear market's over.
Sure.
Is it a fair comparison to say, I'm investing, I'm a young guy, I'm investing in the S&P and that kind of thing, but you know what? There's some commodities over here that I can take a little bit of my money and fool with it.
In fact, that's what a lot of my gold customers. I had over 3,000 gold and silver coin investing customers that believed in the same narrative I believed in, is that, look, we got to hedge against inflation. We got to hedge against the stock market crash. And I'm going to, put 10 to 25% of my wealth in gold and silver. And what happened is the metals just, they hold their value, but they're not going up like a Tesla or an Amazon.
I guess when I said commodities, I meant like pork bellies, right? Like take a little bit to really risk it for the big hit, like the sand coin,
Oh, yeah. No, that's also definitely something you could do. It's, I've never traded any pork bellies, but there are.
I'd love to see.
I want to make sure
his
you understand my
investment
analogy.
portfolio
My analogy
smells great.
is that the sand coin investments, those little investments here or there, it's okay to take a little bit of
1%,
1%.
half a percent.
You go for the home run here, while Bitcoin is your steady beast.
There you go. Yes, I get what you're saying now.
Yes.
Just like you'd have some in the S&P, right? Some in the NASDAQ, some in the Dow, and then maybe that one-hit wonder, that next
Soybeans.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Chris Mitchell, so enlightening, this conversation. You really have taught us so much. The CEO and founder of this company. This is amazing. Bitcoin Advisors, bitcoinadvisors.com. That's advisors, ADVIZERS.com. Get the brochure. Get this DVD. What a great deal. $2,000 worth of material. It's a full course on this DVD. Yours free at the website or for calling 800-451-0662. That's 800-451-0662. Chris Mitchell, thank you so much.
You for having me.
Good stuff.
Check him out, 800-451-0662. Chris Mitchell, thank you again. This is the live AM 870 Wealth Summit with Jennifer Horn and Grant Stinchfield of The Morning Answer, joined this year by Da Vinci Wealth Management, Bitcoin Advisors, and Midas Gold Group. When we continue, Ken Russo of Midas Gold Group. Thanks for joining us and welcome back. It is the 16th annual Wealth Summit right here on AM 870, The Answer. I'm Jennifer Horn.
And I'm Grant Stinchfield. That's crazy. 16 years.
I know. Can
This
you
has
imagine?
been going on. That's wild.
But this is so important because for people who are just starting out, who are trying to get a portfolio going for themselves, or people who are really close to retirement, or those people who are just spooked about what's going on in our state of California and across the country, we really have some great experts in all of these categories. You can watch us. We are live streaming at am870theanswer.com. We also are taking questions on our Facebook and Twitter pages at AM870 The Answer. And joining us again on the program is Senior Vice President of Midas Gold Group. Our friend Ken Russo is back. And Ken, you have been the talk of the land over here. In fact,
Hopefully good.
well, you're a big fan, I know, of the station. You've been, you host here. You've been on the Morning Answer with us, and so I have to do one thing, Ken. I have to blow the whistle on something that you've said.
Blow the whistle.
Yeah,
You say blow the whistle?
I did say blow the whistle.
I love that part. And I listen every morning.
We
I
love
know
it too.
you do, and I love it. That's what we do when we're about to uncover, and we're blowing the whistle on Gavin Newsom, and then we're going to get to some of these
Ooh,
questions for you. But
okay,
let's
yeah.
blow the whistle on Gavin Newsom because California
hair.
governor. Oh.
Beautiful,
He's a-
beautiful skin, too.
He's a Ken doll. He is like, you go to Central Casting and he's a politician.
We got our
which
own
is
Ken
scary.
doll right here.
He's the Ken doll I like, actually. Now, Gavin Newsom has been talking about this digital wallet. He wants to put your driver's license in it. He wants to do all sorts of things. Now, if you're not paying attention, that may seem to be just fine. But if you are paying attention to what's going on, do you really want the state of California deciding if your digital license is going to be available to you, maybe based on your politics or something that the state may not like? I mean, these are very real possibilities that we have to think about. And that's why it's a really good time to buy gold, because this is something you can actually hold on to. The government can't reach in and grab it.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe that this is for real. And I mean, you can't make
true.
this stuff up. They might even take your stove. And they're going to have a savings tax where if you don't use your money in your savings account, they're going to want to tax that as well.
You got it.
Governor Newsom is very excited about California being at the forefront of digital wallet technology. And I would encourage everybody out there who's listening to type into Google, is California DMV on the blockchain? And absolutely, California DMV is on the blockchain. And they're easing us into a digital system, and money will be next. And like we talked about last segment, you know, privacy is important. You know, there's a lot of people in this country that have fought very hard for our
Yes.
freedom, and privacy is important.
And to make it clear, this is a centralized digital system that the government controls compared to other digital assets out there. It's centralized, which is the big key. You can't digitize gold.
You know what, Grant? It's very confusing, all that other stuff, and I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I would say I'm an intelligent person, but
Gold you
I
can
would say
hold.
that.
Gold you can hold.
all this other stuff, I mean, money's supposed to be simple. It's supposed to be straightforward. It's supposed to be trustworthy. It's supposed to always have value. Mm-hmm. And I would tell you that our dollar and our paper currency and our system, it's headed in the wrong direction. Not to mention this country as a whole, headed in the wrong direction at the wrong time by the worst possible people. And that's why you need to take some of your money out of the system and own something, Grant, like gold that you could hold on to.
Let me, for everyone that doesn't quite understand, and it's so simple how this actually works, because we push Midas Gold Group, MidasGoldGroup.com, MidasGoldGroup.com, 805-601-6000, 805-601-6000. But it literally is as easy as calling you up, buying gold from you, and you getting it to their house. You send it to them, right? You FedEx to them. But literally,
It's delivered by Ninja, right?
they take it and they put it in their gun safe, put it in their safe, put it under their mattress. I don't know, but they take it and they hold it. That's as simple as it is, right?
That's the only way. You know, if you have some liquid assets at the bank, clients send a check or they do a bank wire, or other clients that maybe are contractors or have a large cash business, maybe they want to convert some of that cash into stuff that they could hold on to. We all know that our dollar is going to lose purchasing power in the next 5 or 10 years. Mm-hmm. We all know that our money is going to be worth less, maybe a lot less. So wouldn't the premise be, well, what could I do something? Could I do something about that? And that's where gold comes into play.
I've never asked you this question, but when it's a large amount of gold, say somebody's buying $100,000 worth of gold, how do you get that to their house? What if I'm in Texas and I want that? How do you get $100,000 in gold? You send it in FedEx?
Well, maybe 2 or 3 shipments, privately, and it's not going to say, well, this box contains Grant Stinchfield's gold.
And we
but
don't want porch
insured.
pirates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's insured. FedEx, UPS, they do a great job. It's insured. And I would say if someone was going to do $100,000 of gold, maybe do $97,000 and put $3,000 of it into a good safe, something that you can protect your valuables in. So it's a plan. It's a phone call. It's that first step. But in my opinion, at this market, like we talked about last segment, which is extremely risky, and we all know that this financial system is a house of cards. And what's their answer, Jen? Well, we're going to print more and we're going to
printing
spend
more
more.
money. I mean,
And
the
we're gonna
president's
spend
tripping
more.
up the stairs to get on Air Force One. And so do we really trust that decision making? Now, Cindy, who is in our Facebook chat right now watching the live stream, wants to know from you, Ken, about fees, because I think there's varying degrees of fees when you go to gold brokers. So how does it work for Midas?
Well, doing business face to face, you need to be fair, and every single product has a different price. A gold bar, a gold coin. It starts with the paper price of gold, which is around $1,820, $25. I would say to own an ounce of gold in this market today is anywhere from about $1,950 to $2,000. That gets you an ounce of gold. That includes anything that Midas Gold Group makes. Any shipping costs are included. I would say our margins are anywhere from 5 to 10%. When people get into trouble, they buy collectible coins. They buy coins or a product that the dealer is pitching that is beneficial to the dealer and not to the client. Like I said before, we don't try to make people collectors. We're not selling products that are just beneficial to Midas Gold Group. But there is a small cost. Of course, we have to make a little bit of money, but that's what it costs to pull your money out of the system, to convert it to something that you could hold on to. And we believe in the long run, if your dollar loses 50 or 60 or 70% of its buying power, the stock market loses 50, 60% of its value over the next few years. It's a small cost to own some gold.
I've gotten gold from you guys, and it typically comes in, I call it a bar, even though they're
cute.
very small. They can
Yeah.
be cute, they can be big or small, but it's basically a measured small little bar, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be gold coins. A lot of people think about gold coins. Do you do gold coins too?
Absolutely. Bullion coins. Bullion, the definition of bullion means that it's valued based on the purity and the weight of the gold itself. That could be a bar or it could be a bullion coin. And some of the most popular bullion coins, like a gold eagle, a gold maple leaf, a gold buffalo, are very popular, and they also qualify for a gold IRA. But there's other forms of gold, like bars, that could be as small as a gram, 5 grams, 10 grams, 20 grams. 1 ounce is a very popular bar. Mm-hmm. The bigger you go, the smaller the price of gold per ounce is. So if you see these large bars, which are probably kilos or 100-ounce bars of gold, the price to own those is very close to the paper price of gold. The smaller you go, it becomes a little bit wider. So stick to the basics, stick to the basic products. But all of the products that we promote is for wealth preservation. It's for a rainy day. It's for diversification outside of the paper markets. You can't speculate, Jen, with 100% of your money.
Right.
You can't put 100% of your money into stuff you don't understand.
And hope for the best.
You can't hope, okay? And right now, the speculation, and there's a lot of greed still in the markets, which tends to tell me that we're not anywhere near close to being near a bottom. There's still a lot more to go.
So there's a couple of things that I think are important to underscore about Midas Gold Group. And Ken Russo is here. You're listening to our 16th Annual Wealth Summit on AM 870 The Answer. Get a hold of Midas Gold Group, 805-601-6000, 805-601-6000, or MidasGoldGroup.com. That's MidasGoldGroup.com. What's important, and we've talked about this, and actually everybody that's been here today during our Wealth Summit says that there's an ability for people to come and see you face to face. But you're not just there telling people to invest in gold and not doing it yourself. Ken, we've had private conversations. I hope it's okay we talk about it, but you have a lot of your own money invested in gold and precious metals. Tell people about that.
Well, I mean, my
That's
family.
meaningful.
Yeah, I mean, my family's counting on me to do the right thing with our nest egg. I've been a stockbroker. I've worked on Wall Street. I've traded futures contracts and traded stocks before with family money and customer money, and I've seen the bubbles and the bursts.
Right.
And we're starting another burst. That's what's going on right now. We've had so much money printing, abnormally low interest rates for 40 years. That bubble is now imploding. So what you have to say to yourself is, what could I do to avoid being financially destroyed when this bubble bursts? We all know that something's going to happen. We all know that the system's going to be torn down for whatever reason. Who knows? Is it a cabal? Is it a deep state? Is it leadership? Or is it just simply recklessness with our money printing?
Maybe all of it.
And the likelihood of it happening is very good.
Yeah.
So I can't speculate with 100% of my money because I can't afford to go through that.
Sure.
I need to keep something that is real money, something that I know that will be there. If something happens to me, I know that my family can turn to it. It will be there. It's not on a flash drive stick. It's not connected to the markets, which if they shut down the electricity grid, well, what happens? It's something that they could hold on to, something that will be there. And that's why I would urge people to really consider at this point more safety, more protection, more gold.
So MidasGoldGroup.com, MidasGoldGroup.com, 805-601-6000. And, I've had the pleasure to get to know you guys over the last couple of years. You sponsor my podcast now as well, which is great. And I get a common theme among people who come up to me that have said, Grant, I listen to you. I love these guys. And what's amazing to me is I've had people come up to me and say, we're actually friends with them now. Like your clients actually become your friends. That really is a tribute.
We don't have a crystal ball, right?
Yeah.
And I would not recommend anyone buy gold or own gold because they think they're going to get rich. But what I would urge people to understand is that this financial system is going to end very badly. And we're going to go through a lot of pain. You don't have to lose all of your resources when that happens. You can protect yourself. You could have a safety net, and that involves relationship with people. It involves trust, and that goes back to trust again. Do you trust your money? Do you trust your government? Do you trust this system? Do you trust the banking system to have all of your money there? I think the clients of Bank of America woke up a couple weeks ago and there was a Zelle glitch and people had zero balances, some people, and they're calling customer service wondering what's going on. In my opinion, I can't have all my money in that type of a system.
I was talking about my lube shop, my oil change business. My buddy has one. He did a DBA change doing business as. Some regulator flagged his account. They froze his bank account for 2 weeks. Ugh. He did not have money to pay. Now, this is a wealthy guy with a lot of money in the bank. He did not have money. He could not get to it. And so that's an example of the government having complete control over your money. Not to say that he'd go liquidate his gold supplies if he had them to go make the payroll, but it's a prime example of the government having complete control to a normal everyday guy, literally does a DBA, and they froze his assets.
Unacceptable. And,
Unacceptable.
People don't understand right now in different countries, maybe they won't allow you to take more than $20 out of the ATM at a time. Lebanon won't allow people to take out more than $200 a month out of the bank account, no matter how much they have. Cyprus years ago, they took money right out of people's bank accounts. Will that happen here? I don't know. But I'm not willing to take that chance with all of my money. That's the point.
I probably shouldn't say this. I'll probably get in trouble. But if that happens, gold's going to go through the roof.
Gold will go through the roof.
It may,
if that happens,
and there's a possibility that it will be $5,000 or $10,000 or maybe $50,000 in the future. But that means that a lot of stuff that's going to go wrong probably goes wrong. And in my opinion, there's so many things right now that can go bad, and there's not really that many things that can go well. That's a bad situation.
I'm investing in gold and brass.
There you go.
Brass, ammunition.
There
Get
you go.
the stability that gold brings. Ken Russo, thank you so much for what you do. MidasGoldGroup.com is the place to find them. MidasGoldGroup.com, 805-601-6000. A store in Thousand Oaks. You can go see them face to face. 805-601-6000. Get your free guide to owning gold, or check out MidasGoldGroup.com.
These guys are great. I just want to say, these guys. I would send my parents to these guys.
Absolutely. And Grant Stinchfield,
Thank
so
you.
fun to do this. Ken Russo,
Yeah,
thank
it's kind,
you so
and we
much.
love you both, and
Well-
that's why we're more than willing to support people like yourself, because you're good Americans,
Thank
and you're telling a message that every single damn American right now should be listening to.
Absolutely. And we thank you all for joining us as well. This was the Wealth Summit on AM 870. Jennifer Horn and Grant Stinchfield, so happy to be a part of this.
great.
Check out the Morning Answer Monday morning for a full recap. And thank you to our sponsors, Da Vinci Wealth Management, Bitcoin Advisors, and Midas Gold Group. Thank you for joining us. This is the AM 870 Wealth Summit.